listening to the Marketing and Yoga Pants podcast, a podcast in sisterhood for female entrepreneurs that serves up savvy, actionable marketing advice and interviews with creative business owners who are in the trenches, building their businesses as we speak. The Marketing and Yoga Pants community is for you, the girl on her couch, in her yoga pants, top knot tight, hunched over her MacBook, trying her hardest to get the word out about her business. So in the name of supporting each other while supporting ourselves, bringing community, sound marketing advice, coffee, chocolate, and wine together for you, yoga pants wearing business owner, in a world where followers mean nothing, but paying customers mean the world, join us on this week's podcast episode and in our private Facebook group where you'll meet your soul sisters and build your business in yoga pants. Welcome back to another episode of the Marketing and Yoga Pants podcast. I'm Britt Colo, and I'm here today with Heidi Thompson, founder of Evolve Your Wedding Business, best-selling author and business and marketing strategist for wedding professionals. Thank you so much for joining me today, Heidi.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So Heidi and I, this is the first time we're talking to each other, and I'm so pumped to get to chat with her today. She is in the wedding business. That is who she helps, people in the wedding business. And so I know that a lot of you guys are in that industry as well, or you might be service providers to people in the wedding industry. So lots of insight to be had here in this conversation. I can't wait to get a look into her industry, her marketing strategy, and what makes it all tick. So Heidi, are you ready to jump in?
Let's do it.
Let's do this. All right. So first of all, tell us, how do you earn your living?
So I earn my living essentially, big picture, through helping wedding professionals grow their businesses without going nuts. And the way that's the caveat, right? Because you can grow, but let's kind of try not to go crazy.
Yes.
So the way that looks in practical terms is I work with people through my membership, which is called the Wedding Business Collective. And it's a membership where I've rolled together all of my courses, my resources, group coaching. There's a level where you can have one-on-one coaching as well. I've kind of smashed everything together because I found that when I was either just selling a single course or just working one-on-one with someone, there was always something else that they needed. And I really wanted to be able to bring everything together to provide as much as I possibly could for someone to best support them through our working relationship.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So a big server, if you will. I can hear that already. Like you're there to serve them. And you do that through primarily a membership. That's super cool. So you're in the wedding industry. You're offering this membership to wedding pros. Tell us how you got here. How did you come to do this with your life?
Oh, that's a good question. And it's of course, a long and winding path like everybody.
Of course.
But I started with marketing in college, actually, when I was working on nonprofit fundraising events. And I was doing this because I liked the nonprofit side. I thought I was going to work in nonprofit management. And I got into, these fundraising events, and you have to get people there, obviously, and you have to get people to donate. So I really fell in love with the whole marketing side of things and the whole event management side of things. So, before I even realized it was the marketing that I loved, I went down the events route and I started working for a wedding planner as an assistant. And I loved it. It was amazing. It was so interesting to get a look inside this industry that at that time I had no context for. Like I didn't really know anything about it. I was like 21. None of my friends had gotten married yet. I hadn't gotten married yet. And it was also new to me, but being a wedding planner is rough. And I have the most respect in the world for wedding planners, but it wasn't really for me. And that's when I realized, okay, I'm going to shift more to the marketing side of things. So it was around this time I moved to the UK. My husband's from England. And I started working in a lot of different industries in marketing. I worked at Cambridge University. I worked for software companies. I worked for a fecal transplant company, literally marketing
hello.
poop.
Oh, my. We went there.
Which, I mean, it teaches you a lot about marketing when the product you're selling isn't desirable. You got to get creative.
I love that.
So while I was over there, I, of course, was keeping tabs on the wedding industry because it's this fascinating thing I came upon. And I noticed there was a disconnect between what people were doing and what they were really looking for and what the wedding media and bridal shows were doing in the UK. And what the media and bridal shows were doing were this like white, fluffy Cinderella kind of wedding. And what people were really after and were getting really excited about seemed to be these really creative personal weddings like Offbeat Bride, Rock and Roll Bride. And so I took it upon myself to create the Alternative Wedding Fair, which brought together quirky, different vendors and couples who were looking for something that was different, which was a ton of fun. But that is when it smacked me in the face that, oh, not everybody just studies marketing because they like it. Because I was spending a ton of time coaching my exhibitors to help them get a better return on their investment. I obviously, wanted them to get bookings. And that's when I realized that, okay, I really need to bring these marketing worlds and wedding worlds together and support people in this industry. Because if you were paid based on your creativity alone, you'd be a millionaire. But unfortunately, you have to market yourself to get any business.
Right. Okay. So where'd you go from that fair? So you realized the need to bring the marketing and the wedding pieces together. So then what did you do?
So I continued with the fair. It became a realization for me, and I worked it into how I managed my fairs and kind of kept it in the back of my mind that this was something I wanted to build on. And when I really made the shift, it was largely because I realized, how tied to specific locations I was going to be with these fairs, and that I wanted to transition to something that wasn't so location dependent. And that's when I realized, I had this big opportunity to really serve people, not just at these fairs, not just in my local community, but worldwide. And I got started. I launched my website after much deliberation, of course, deciding what I was going to call this thing. And I launched with a summit and then went directly into working one-on-one with people and working on, generating as many leads as I could. Because, of course, when you're beginning, it's all about putting yourself out there in different ways and making people aware of what you offer. So that was really the foundational piece, is working one-on-one with people. And from there, I was able to notice patterns that were coming up over and over and over again when I was working with wedding professionals, regardless of whether they were planners or photographers or stationers or venue owners. It didn't really matter. The same issues kept coming up. And that's when I started building my first course, because I realized that, if everybody is having this problem, this needs to be addressed in a way that doesn't necessarily include working with me one-on-one. So that was a big transition for me, and shifting into, the whole world of launching and course development and all of the things that go along with that. And there's so much. So yeah, that was the point where I started really attracting people from worldwide, really, because I was able to help people regardless of whether we could have a live call together because of time zones, regardless of whether they could afford to work with me one-on-one. It provided another way to create that kind of value from them. And man, I'm telling you, Britt, have you ever created courses and done launches and that whole thing?
I mean, I have a couple small courses, but no big launches. I help from the back end, my clients doing that. I choose to stay away from it myself, but I've definitely been a part of them. Yes.
I do now, but man, it is a baptism of fire. Those launches are not the easiest things in the world. And it's stressful. You have this short period of time to get people in, and then you beat yourself up, even though your conversion numbers are actually pretty good, but you don't realize that conversions for courses are actually relatively low. So that was definitely an interesting part of this whole journey.
So you launched your course, and where did you go from there? Because your main focus now in your business is the membership. Is that right? So bridge the gap for me between those two things.
Okay. So I had launched this course multiple times, and I was feeling really disconnected, both from my business and the people that I was serving. And it is a strange feeling. I don't know how to describe it accurately other than just feeling just disconnected. It's like, okay, I sell you this course and then you go through it, or maybe you don't. And then bye, like you're going to have other issues, but bye, I guess.
Yeah.
Have fun. So I wanted to create a business model where I could support them in the next steps in a way that was sustainable for me, as well as being, financially feasible for them as well. I didn't want to, create something where I was giving people, lifetime access to all this stuff and adding things if it was going to burn me out. So it took me a little while to figure out what that business model was going to look like. And membership made the most sense to me because it allowed me to grow with the people in the membership. And I really liked that because, I can come up with a course and launch it, but if it doesn't do what people need it to do, then, it's not exactly going to do very well. It's not going to serve people in the way that I want to. Whereas with a membership, I'm in such close contact with people and they're asking me questions and I'm seeing patterns come up that I can say, hey, you guys seem to be struggling with this. Would you benefit from a course on this topic? Yeah? Okay, cool. In a month, in 2 months, whatever works for the timeline, I'm going to bring this out for you guys. And because the revenue model in membership is, continuous payment, that allows me to continually develop things and continue to improve the experience for the people within it. And that just makes me feel like I'm providing a ton of value for them.
And that there it is again, it kind of comes back to that servant heart that I kind of am already picking up from you. It's like, making money from the courses, that's cool. But if at the end of the day, they're not taking the course, they're not really getting help to the degree of what that you can help them with, that's just not going to sit well for you and your personality and who you are. So to continue to dig into that and find a model that worked better for you, I mean, I just applaud that. I admire that, to just continue seeking and continue finding that. And it sounds like I definitely, because I've been studying the membership model a little bit more recently, and it seems like memberships work really well for the kind of den mama type the server, like you're super good at serving, you're super good at protecting the pack and keeping people on track just enough so they're getting results. And so it kind of sounds like that is you. Like, so you've really found the model that fits your personality. Do you feel that?
It really does feel like that for me. And I fought it at first because, what you see everywhere is this whole, either, you're working one-on-one with people or you're doing courses. There isn't this blend. There isn't, I had come across very few memberships at the time. So I did for a while try to jam a square peg into a round hole. But after a while, I was like, I'm not enjoying this. Like, why am I doing this?
Yeah, I bet you I'm certain that there are listeners right now like, oh my gosh, that's totally me. I thought that there were only 2 camps. There's a third one. Like there's something in the middle. So that's pretty cool. Okay. So take me into how you're getting new people to join your membership right now. Like what's working for you?
So I do periodic promotions around specific topics, but the thing that has worked the best for me on a consistent basis is being able to offer a trial. And I offer a 10-day free trial for my membership. And the conversion rate off of trials is usually somewhere around 75 to 80%.
Oh, that's really great.
So letting people, dip their toe in kind of risk-free. If you stay past 10 days, yeah, you're going to get charged and that's made clear, but you can cancel anytime. I show them how to do it in the intro video. And it's been working phenomenally well. And I think a lot of that has to do with risk reversal.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, try before you buy. Nobody's going to say no to that. And then they get in there and realize there's so much value. That's cool. I'm glad to hear. I'm glad to hear that. Now, with every membership, there's getting new clients in, but then there's also the whole feat of retention, retaining the people that are in there. So I used to work in the fitness industry, and it was explained to me once, and the analogy always stuck. It's like, it's a bathtub and you've got water running in, but you also don't have the drain in the bottom. So like some are eking out, but then some are coming in. We have to make sure that more are coming in than are going out. So what is working to retain your members? What are you trying to do to keep your retention percentages high?
Yeah, retention is the often overlooked part. And of course, when I first got into this model, it was like, oh, cool, we'll just get more and more people to join. But it's a lot easier to retain the people that you already have.
Yeah.
So I have a good onboarding series of emails that keeps people engaged, and that's been working well. And over the long term, really just making sure that I am actively engaging with people as much as possible in our community seems to be really key for retention. So, even if somebody hasn't posted anything in a while, checking up with them on something that they had previously posted to let them know that, yeah, I'm still thinking of you. How are you doing? Or do you need help with this? As well as, because it's a membership and things are always being added, keeping them in the loop of what's coming, because you don't want to cancel if 3 months from now is something that you really want to take part in.
That's a good.
And that was something I had to learn, because I was like, oh no, I didn't even really think about it at first, the importance of that, of knowing what's coming up, because it's so obvious. It's so incredibly easy to just look past it. But letting people know, this key thing that you guys were asking for, that is coming on this date. It gives them something to look forward to. And that has definitely helped with retention. That's definitely improved retention.
Well, and I think this is an important thing to remember. So if you're listening to this right now and you are either thinking of starting your own membership, or it's been kind of on your radar, because it is kind of a hot topic right now. It seems like a lot of people are talking memberships right now. And if that's been on your radar and you're thinking, it seems, I don't know, I guess if you're really into creating new content always, it seems like the membership model would make a lot of sense. But if creating content isn't really where your heart's at, and you think that you're going to start a membership and just keep everything the same always, I don't know. Like, it kind of sounds like what you do a lot is you market the membership and you keep people engaged by you really engaging with them. And then you just continue to feed them new stuff to work through. Is that right? Is that how you have your membership set up?
I do. And I'm not crazy with the content creation. I'm not, releasing things constantly.
Mm-hmm.
At most, I'm putting an additional short-ish, I say hour or less course in there every other month at most.
Okay.
Because it's super easy to get into this content creation mode, but then you realize you are completely overwhelming people.
Yeah. I think I kind of do that most of the time. Like I get into content creation mode, and then I'm like, oh yeah, people actually have to consume this stuff. Like they don't, no, people are doing other things in their lives, Brittany. So yeah, okay. That's it. I'm glad that you clarified that, so we can really get a sense of what that looks like. Now let's talk about what you're working on right now. Where's your focus at? Are you working on anything specific? Tell us what's going on.
So at the moment, I have an expert masterclass where I'm partnering with someone to come in and teach about Instagram. And that is happening about a week from when we're recording this. So I'm super excited about this.
Awesome.
And every time I have a course on a particular topic, whether it's a joint thing I'm doing with someone or it's something I'm doing myself, I shift my marketing to be really like a campaign for that particular topic. So everything I'm doing right now is focused on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
But, in the future, it's going to be focused on creating a promotion that actually gets you sales. It's going to be focused on delegation. So I kind of look at these themes and build things around those themes, both, inside the membership as well as outside the membership. And that helps give me a lot of focus and helps me block things out. Because, if it doesn't have to do with delegation, I'm not dealing with it right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so helpful.
Yeah.
Be like, nope, next month, circle back.
Right. Yeah, I like that. Okay. And what are you looking forward to? Any new projects or new learning opportunities, goals you've set that are on the horizon?
I have just started working with a Facebook ad strategist because while I am capable of doing my own Facebook ads, I will fall down a rabbit hole of trying to figure out how to tweak them, and then I don't get anything else done.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very excited to get this Facebook ads campaign launched with her. And it's so nice knowing that there's someone who is on top of this and someone who's taking care of it and is measuring and managing, because, it's so easy when it's your own stuff to just let it fall to the wayside. It's that classic, the cobbler's children have no shoes kind of thing. So I'm super excited about that. And I'm sure I'm going to learn a ton from the different tests that she's running and, playing with different audiences. So I'm super stoked.
That's cool. That's awesome. So I really want to get back to why this all started. And I want to know really what inspires the work that you do now.
So my entire ethos behind what I do is really fueled by freedom. It's the most important thing to me. And it's the most important thing for me to help other people achieve in their business, because it's so easy to have your business run you.
Mm-hmm.
But then like that wasn't really the point. You started this and it's, it's a slippery slope, but I firmly believe that your business should give you freedom. You should profit off of not just the financial aspects of your business, but being able to have more control of your time, both, how you're spending it in your business, how you're spending it outside of your business. If you want to take a week off and go somewhere, having the systems and the delegation skills in place to do that. I am so incredibly passionate about that because it's, your business sucks you in. You love it. You love what you're doing all day. And then you realize you haven't done a damn thing for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm huge on, I'm huge on, the freedom aspect. Like, yes, you're serving other people, but are you serving you? Is your business actually serving you? Or is it paying you a pittance when you really break it down into what you're making, whether it's on an hourly rate or whatever, and you just feel burnt out. Yeah. I hate seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been there. It's not fun.
Yeah. I love that. I love that freedom piece. I tend to be around a lot of, we call them freedom junkies, just people that are like, you don't have to be tied and tethered to all of these shoulds. Like, you really don't have to, and you don't have to be tied to this thing that you've created and think that, well, this is just how business is. It has to be all consuming. It doesn't have to be. So I really respect that. So one last question I would love to end with is, I want you to look back and tell us, what advice would you give to yourself when you were first starting your business? That girl on her couch, hunched over her MacBook, trying to figure all this out. What would you say to her?
Oh, I have two pieces that have come to be incredibly valuable for me. And one of them is create what people actually want and need, not what you want to create. Really listening, to your people and what they need. Fall in love with the problem, not your specific solution to it. But I think the most important thing that I've learned that I wish I knew is how to fail properly.
Oh, talk about that.
How to fail without hating yourself and without beating yourself up. And I try to look at things in my business and in my life really through a lens of, okay, I'm a scientist and I'm running experiments. I ran this experiment. The chemicals exploded. Things I thought were going to happen did not happen. Mm-hmm. But if I was a scientist, would I collapse and cry about it? Or would I try to figure out why? And I've tried to get really focused on the why, because there's so much information in a failure. It's essentially, it's right there. It's telling you how not to do it again and how to improve. So if you can shift your focus to, okay, why did this happen? And how do I prevent it from happening again? And shift it away from, I'm just a horrible person and I can't make this work and I should just give up. Because if we all gave up, none of us would be able to walk. Mm-hmm. We got to fall over a few times, probably a lot more than a few times.
Yeah.
To realize, how to navigate things. And I think that's really easy to forget, is that the normal path for humans to learn is through trying and failing repeatedly.
Yeah. And you also hit on that point of, I think certainly I do this, and this has been in conversation lately around me too. So I'm going to bring it up, is the point that when something in your business doesn't turn out the way you expected it to, you therefore feel like the failure. Like you label yourself as the failure. Your business didn't fail. It was you. And you take that on your own shoulders, and you're all of a sudden not good enough. Your inner critic is screaming at you. And Is it the need for a boundary between you and your business? I don't think that that's possible. Honestly, especially when we're talking about service-based stuff and you're selling services that come out of you and like your brain and your heart, that boundary, I don't know where the heck that is. I'm not sure if it's possible to actually create that boundary, but it's being willing to fail and not, I think maybe through practice, not take it on as you are the failure. It's more of just, no, the idea just didn't work. Like that just didn't work, but that doesn't mean that I'm a failure. Can you talk on that a little bit? Because I know it's in there. Like you've kind of brought it up a couple times. So tell us kind of your take on that idea.
Yeah, it is so easy to take it personally. And I agree with you. I don't think there is a real line. And I don't know. I don't know anyone who has been able to effectively draw that line to be like, no, I am separate from my business in their own brain, because I really just don't think that's how we work. But I try to frame it in terms of, as everything is an experiment, everything you do in life and in business is an experiment. And either it turns out how you thought, it turns out better than you thought, or it turns out worse than you thought, or the complete opposite. And that is the frame of mind I'd like to try to keep myself in, and that I try to keep my clients in. Because if you were a scientist and you were trying to cure cancer and it didn't work the first time, would you just like cry and quit? No, you would look at what worked, what didn't work. Okay, my hypothesis was off. Let's change it. Let's run another test. And I know that's very much easier said than done, but over time, the more that you can put yourself in that kind of frame of mind, it becomes so much easier, and it starts to become habitual, like building any mindset, really.
Right. Yes. And that's, I think, the key takeaway. Continue trying, continue failing, continue experimenting. And over time, there will be less and less attachment to that result and more clarity around, okay, that was an idea and that was an experiment. That wasn't me. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it can be fun too to get curious about it, especially if it's puzzling, if it's like, I was certain that was going to work. What happened here? And really getting into it and trying to keep detached as much as you possibly can, in that this is an experiment. This isn't a judgment on me as a person. This isn't a judgment on the quality of service I'm providing. Nothing like that. It's a standalone experiment that may or may not have exploded. Okay, why? What happened? How can we change that in the future? And when you do start to beat yourself up, don't beat yourself up more for falling into that trap. It's kind of like when you learn to meditate, it's like, don't yell at yourself in your brain for getting distracted. Just gently curb yourself back to what you're supposed to be focusing on.
Yes.
I think the same thing applies for this, because if you're already feeling vulnerable and then you're attacking yourself for not focusing on what you want to be focusing on, you're going to feel even worse.
Yeah. That just went really meta. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because it's true. Like this could have been kind of an aha moment, like, oh yeah, I definitely am too attached to the result. And then you start beating yourself up for that fact too. No. That's not where we're at. Gently guide yourself back. I like that picture, and I like that lesson you've brought us. So thank you. Thank you for that. So, all right, before we go, I would love for you to tell the listeners where they can find you online, especially if they're a wedding professional, because I think that they're going to need to check you out.
Sure thing. So my site is evolveyourweddingbusiness.com. If you'd like to check out the Wedding Business Collective, you can go there and click work with me and start a trial, or you can go to theweddingbusinesscollective.com and start a trial there. And I also have a podcast called the Evolve Your Wedding Business Podcast. So if you are in the business of weddings and you want to learn more about the business side, marketing, mindset, all that good stuff, you can find that wherever you listen to podcasts.
Awesome. All right, you heard our girls. Go check her out, send her some love, and then hop into our private Facebook group to hear even more from Heidi over the next few days. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Marketing in Yoga Pants podcast. Keep the conversation going by visiting marketinganyogapants.com/Facebook, where you'll get to join that private Facebook group I've been talking so much about. There, you'll get to chat with our podcast guests. Yeah, they're in there too, and all of the other brilliant creative business owners. We're connecting, we're meeting our soul sisters, and we're building our businesses, all while in yoga pants. So come hang out with us. Again, visit marketinganyogapants.com/Facebook to get in. And one more thing. If you dig this podcast, would you be awesome and share it with someone? This entire Marketing in Yoga Pants movement is nothing without its community. So please share. And if you're really feeling the love right now, jump into iTunes. You're probably already there if you're listening to this right now. And leave us a rating and review. The more of those we rack up, the more the podcast will be found by ladies like you, and the stronger this community becomes. This episode was edited and produced by the Podcast Engineers. They're pretty great, so go find them at podcastengineers.com. This episode was also brought to you by my online marketing agency, Jam Marketing Group, and you can find us at jammarketinggroup.co. That's all for now. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you back here next week on the Marketing in Yoga Pants podcast. Love ya. Bye.